Welcome to season 2 of Fresh Off the Boat. I'm with Aditya Gemawat, one of the student who's been extremely enthusiastic about supporting the podcast since the time we decided to do it. He was featured in our first one in the middle of the pandemic. Always very helpful to all students at EdBrand who are seeking questions. So thanks, Aditya, for joining me again. And please introduce yourself for everyone else.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Aditya. I recently graduated from UC San Diego, majoring in data science, and I'm currently working as a machine learning engineer at a research center at Microsoft, which is located in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I mostly did a lot of data science and machine learning work in college, and engaged in academic research as well as industry experiences. And now I'm kind of in a hybrid position where I get to explore research within the industry and at the scale that Microsoft operates in. So pretty excited about what this role has to offer as well.
Great. While thinking about the first recording that we did almost 1.5 years back, there have been so many changes in your life, in lives of students back home who are in high school, who aspire to be in positions of going through a good college experience and graduating. Looking back in your senior year and while you were graduating, what do you think high school students miss understanding the most about college, their journey? I'm sure you were a very different person going into college at 18, and now you have a job almost for the half the year. You've been working at a most prestigious sort of tech company in the world. What is the message you would give high school students who are applying to colleges, what their journey would be like?
Yeah, so I think it can be really easy for high school students to kind of think about college as, let's say, one of the major end destinations. And I don't blame any of them. I was myself one of them, because going to college can also already seem like a huge task with the entire applications process. But I would recommend them to really kind of start thinking about their purpose in terms of how they wish to leverage college in terms of what they want to achieve. And it's kind of nice to have some long-term goals in mind as well, and trying to see how you can utilize college as an ecosystem in order to get closer to those goals. So in that sense, let's say if I think about something like working in the industry or kind of working in these disciplines, I want to then kind of utilize college as the environment or the ecosystem where I can explore those kinds of opportunities so that I can have a more directional or systematic approach to how I want to leverage college in order to further my ambitions or kind of like achieve whatever I want.
Yeah, that's a pretty sort of broad introduction. In terms of your specifics, like in senior year, what did you start doing, which was getting you closer to, say, your career calling, or even experiencing things to become the person you are? And then how do you think back as a first year student entering college? What was that old you and and the senior year you?
So there were quite a few transitions, like at least a couple of transitions during my college life. Initially, when I came in, I was a structural engineering major, and I was exploring that, but I wasn't sure of like what I wanted to do. Ultimately, I decided on data science, and I thought that I would become a data scientist. And out of the 4 internships I did, the first 3 were in data science. But towards my senior year, I had accumulated some research experience in machine learning systems, and I got really passionate about machine learning systems and machine learning engineering and building software and infrastructure to augment the data science lifecycle. So towards my senior year, I had done this one internship where I transitioned from my traditional background and experience in data science to building software for data science and machine learning applications. i.e. a machine learning engineer. So that was really one of the major inflection points that made me more passionate about choosing to pursue the software side of machine learning and data science. And so in senior year, I was mostly, so honestly, because of COVID, I was mostly just kind of focused on job search and also making sure that I can kind of prioritize the kinds of roles that I want. But doing that internship right before my senior year really kind of provided a lot of clarity into the kind of career that I would want to have immediately after graduation and some of the topics that I would want to explore.
Great. So, and socially, what are the skills that you feel you developed in the 4 years of college, which were maybe lacking, or you had a very different sort of preference or priority set at the time when you entered college? How did it change, and what are you sort of happy that you sort of changed about yourself?
Yeah, I think there were three major components: branding, networking, and communication. So branding and networking in the sense that, and actually all three of these kind of tied together well, when I just got to attend a whole lot of career events, social events, professional events, starting freshman year itself, where I essentially detected some patterns or trends and got to realize that really putting yourself out there is crucially important in order to distinguish yourself from the rest of the crowd and also get the opportunities you want. And so hearing with other people who had more experience in the industry or hearing from upperclassmen really helped me kind of realize that I need to put myself out there. I need to network and develop relationships with people. I also need to kind of showcase myself as a unique brand so that I can add more credibility to my profile. And last but not the least, I need to know how to talk and work with people. So with all the experiences I kind of had through college, of course, with all of my experiences, I kind of learned about technical communication and non-technical communication and how that kind of ties into my work and how I can use that to my advantage. And at the same time, I also kind of got into this habit of brand building or network building that I personally feel very proud of, because that really helped me kind of push myself out of my comfort zone, not be super introverted when it comes to actually showcasing my work, or let's say showcasing my talents or whatever I have to offer, and also make sure that I'm kind of getting a couple steps closer to my ambitions, things like that.
Fantastic. And what does a university like a large university like University of California, San Diego has to offer someone? What are the opportunities you took on as you progressed towards your upperclassmen years? What was unique about maybe the clubs that you joined, career readiness sort of workshops, networking events? If you can give specific examples of what USC really has to offer and what students also do on their own to get those opportunities, it'll be fun to share with everyone in the audience.
Yeah, so one very unique thing about UC San Diego was the major that I was in, because I was a data science major and not a whole lot of colleges offer that major. So a lot of the coursework that I dealt with was pretty specialized around data science and machine learning and components of the data science lifecycle. Aside from that, for opportunities outside the classroom, I was involved in a student-run startup, and UCSD actually had a couple of startup generators where they literally had students working with, let's say, UCSD alumni or other people, or let's say a combination of students working on projects, and they would kind of get space and perhaps even funding from sources around UCSD. And different kinds of students could volunteer to be in those startups and get a lot of practical experience. At the same time, UCSD is also like a research powerhouse, and they pretty much kind of do research on almost anything you can imagine, is the way that I saw it. So if you have like varied interests, if you have very specific interests, there are a whole bunch of resources out there that can kind of help guide you towards the kinds of professors you want to work with. Even if you have like a very unique project that you want to explore yourself, UCSD also offers research scholarships with which you can kind of pitch your project and kind of show whatever you want to do, what the learning outcomes and goals would be. And I was also involved in a few research scholarship programs to explore particular projects with a professor mentor as well. So like being involved in startups, student orgs, research scholarships, and also being in that community and also having that unique major to also kind of to allow me, in my case, to specialize in whatever I wanted.
Fantastic. So, the last question that I have is segueing into actual work and leaving the UC San Diego bubble, now being in a very different part of the world, Cambridge, Massachusetts. How's it like been transitioning to the East Coast and settling in a professional life?
Yeah, it's a very unique it's a very different living situation compared to San Diego, but I'm still liking it a lot. Like a lot of the architecture seems pretty British. That's kind of interesting to see. But overall, it's just nice to kind of explore a new city and a new environment. I also got to go to the office fairly regularly, and there were people that started to come into the office as well. So I also got to work in person, which was a great refreshing feeling after like 4 academic quarters of virtual work and study. So that was pretty nice. The change of scenery was also pretty good. I like the urban vibe that Cambridge had to offer compared to usually the more suburban vibe that San Diego seemed to have offered in my experience. And last but not the least, Cambridge has snowfall, which I had never seen before. So it was a nice change of scenery in that sense too.
Thank you, Aditya. I think the one thing that I'm taking away and seeing you as a 16-year-old and then applying to colleges and then getting there and then following your journey has been how sort of your thought process has shaped. And you were always enthusiastic and always a networker, but the articulation and the focus is clearly something that I take away from today's conversation. It's going to possibly take you places. So thank you for joining and sharing all that you do, and hope for a very good future. Looking forward to following your journey in the future.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it.